Welcome back. Today I want to talk about Dungeons and Dragons. Not 4th edition, not Hexcom, though that's going well. We're in the upper Paragon tier now, trying desperately to crack into Epic tier. It's a group effort. Our milestone economy has stalled out a bit due to the length of missions now. And I would just say, generally, this happens in every campaign I've ever been in, regardless of edition or even rule set, really. The higher you go in levels, the slower encounters take. And I think this is just a natural function of adding more options for players as they progress. As players gain levels, they need more things to do, more choices to make, and this just slows everything down. We're trying to mitigate this with different techniques in 4th edition, such as skill challenges to abstract combat a bit, but we're still working on it. But today I'm talking about Dungeons and Dragons, in particular the basic Dungeons and Dragons game from the 80s, BECMI, Basic Expert Masters Companion and Immortal, culminating in this one of the most perfect publications ever made, the Rule Cyclopedia, which I received as a gift from a dear friend who has since passed in 1991. Just as we were kind of finishing up, we were kind of moving into AD&D 2nd edition, but this book means a lot to me, and I've referenced it over the years. But I got interested last week because I wanted to do some kind of like solo castle siege scenario, and I realized that BECMI was the best system to do this because of the war machine and siege machine and mass combat rules contained in it. Something we never really got around too much when I was a kid. No one was really as interested in it as I was, just because there was just a lot of calculations involved. So, as is the case, anything that involves D&D calculations means I need to automate it. So that's what I've done. I started here a little dashboard called, well, I'm just calling War Machine, named after the actual War Machine rules. But what I started with was the War Machine rules, adapting the rules exactly, just trying to get those calculations and that equation of battle force ratings and all of that down into an easy to use system that I can use, plug the values in and have it calculate for me and try and do some kind of paper and pencil castle siege simulation. This is pretty good. I think I've done a fairly good job adapting the rules. I'm not saying it's a precise adaptation, but it's really close. But what I realized, and here you can see this here. You can give your forces a name, troops, leadership, experience. This is all right out of the War Machine rules from BECMI, if you're interested. Morale, terrain, fatigued, intel, all that stuff with different tactics like bombard, harass, assault, depart, that kind of thing. So very cool. But I realized that, well, where do you get your armies? You need to build your armies, and you can't just, I mean, you can just start wherever you want, but I realized I needed some kind of dominion rules to generate gold in order to build these armies. So here I've got the dominion rules adapted from BECMI. Again, pretty accurate, probably not perfect, but good enough for me. So I can generate taxes and start to build the war effort and the treasury and all of that from my dominion. I need stronghold rules, so I've adapted the fortification stronghold castle rules from the Rule Cyclopedia here, so I can build them, all a little granular here. But you can build like very detailed castles to then attack with your siege weapons if you want. But then, okay, where do you place these? Where do you place these in the game? You need wilderness rules. So I adapted the wilderness exploration rules, hex-based wilderness rules with exact terrain generation right out of the books. Great. But then you need a party. You need to generate. So, I have to just generate everything from scratch. So I, of course, spiraled out of control, went down a rabbit hole, adapting the full BECMI rules into this solo kind of dashboard tools, suite of tools management system, which, turned into a week long hobby project. So here I am, just to be able to do like paper and pencil castle siege combat. So I'm just going to show this to you. I'll put the link in the description if you want to play around with it. It's, not perfect, as I've mentioned. It's probably good enough for me to just dink around with and do these like little solo simulations that I'm interested in. So I'll just run you through this. You can generate a party. Here, I'll do a party of 5 real quick. I've got, okay, Agamemnon, the chaotic cleric. I've got Sahats, the neutral magic user. Maurice, the lawful halfling. Aera, the neutral fighter. Laurentius, the neutral halfling. Now I can generate some, and these are all pretty good. This is all 3d6 in order. I could have also done 46, drop the lowest, but it gives them accurate equipment, encumbrance, and then I've also got a ledger system here, so it pours the remaining gold into a treasury here. And basically what we're trying to do is make that number go up. We start with 252 gold after all the equipment's purchased, and now we're trying to loot dungeons and stuff to make that number go up, and then buy siege equipments and then attack a castle. That's the plan. I also have this like calendar system here where every increment of time is tracked meticulously. So as you advance through the dungeons and wilderness exploration, the calendar advances to keep really close track of the passage of time. I also have a treasure generator, all right out of BECMI treasure tables, and then I have this kind of like merchant trade route caravan journey simulator as well. All right, so back to our party, and this is all stored. There's no database here. This is all generated, stored in local storage on your browser, but you can export everything to a JSON file. You can also export each individual module here to a JSON file and modify it and reload it. Okay, so we've got our party here. We go through the wilderness. We need to start in a city. I could start anywhere, but I'm going to start in a city. It's going to generate names for us. I've got procedural mode on here, which is the terrain generation rules right out of the rule cyclopedia. I can also import the static map. I've got this external Python script that I wrote as well that does compatible maps, but they're more realistic, but they're more boring. So I'm going to use procedural generation. So let's do a new map. We're starting in a city called Bledmark Tor. Excellent. City of 15,000, 11th level dwarf. All the services. Cool. All right, so we've got rations, we've got water skins. We're going to South Hollow. All right, you can see here. All right, let's along the river here. So you can see it's generating a hex map. Oh, there's a lair. Middenburn Lair. Excellent. It's a monster lair. All right, so we've got our wilderness exploration started. We're running out of rations already, so let's forage for a full day here and then go into the dungeon. Now, here the dungeon, we've got a few more rations now. That's maybe a bug. But our encumbrance, torches, we've got our movement. Everything is pretty accurate here. We're doing the wandering monster checks with lighting. Everything is right out of the rules. There's no like dungeon map. It's a bit more abstracted than that, but we can explore room by room and see what happens. Okay, so oh boy, all right. So right off the bat, we got ambushed by 3 zombies. The zombie misses, and we've taken a couple of hits here. You can see Maurice is already almost dead. So this is, again, it's a bit more abstract than actual dungeon, actual combat, party level combat. But I found through testing that the outcomes are pretty realistic. It's high risk, high reward. We're going to die a lot, but we're also going to find these like incredible treasure hoards. It's not going to be like, um, it's not, it's going to be very BECMI flavored. And I think the outcomes are very true to life, true to BECMI anyway. So, what do we want to do? We want to fight. We could try and evade and use the evade table, but we're going to fight. Somebody's going to die here. But if we beat these zombies, the chance of pulling out some pretty significant loot is good. So let's fight. Okay, morale check. Oh yeah, zombies are fearless, so our morale check, they're going to fight to the death. So enemy hit points down to 44%. Let's keep fighting. Oh, Sahats just die. We lost our magic user. Again, pretty true to life here. But zombies are almost dead. Let's keep fighting. Ah! All right, Agamemnon hurt. Got 1 hit point left on these zombies. All right, let's keep going. Boom. Victory! Zombies have been defeated. We lost Agamemnon, our cleric, and Sahats, our magic user. Maurice, our halfling, is nearly dead. Iera, the fighter, and Laurentius are doing pretty well. So, we've got we could have cast like read magic or hold portal. Not really pertinent here, but let's loot these bodies. What did we find? Okay, we found 15 gems, 19 pieces of jewelry, and 0 coins. Okay, so what do we get? Let's 15 gems and return to safety after. Okay, we reached the surface with, all right, 2,650 gold pieces worth of gems and jewelry. Cool. All right. So when we returned to surface, it calculated how deep we were into the dungeon and then had wandering monster encounters on the way out. We got pretty lucky here. This is pretty typical, though, I think. Like, a couple characters died, one really beat up, but we got quite a bit of treasure for our level. So let's go back to our ledger here. It does not automatically add it. We have to add this. So I'm going to put this in. I'm just going to put in the gold pieces value here. So we're almost up to 3,000 gold. So that's just kind of a basics of how that works. Now let's look at our calendar. You can see here everything. Yeah, it's 4:40 in the morning. Almost a week has passed. So as you can see, we're out in the wilderness here, a week away from our home. We've got a river nearby though, so we're not too worried about water. So we could keep milking this layer here, and that's probably what we would do. I'm just demoing this for you to show you how it works, but show you how the calendar works. We can manually advance this. So if we were to do things like downtime activities, I can put in the activity here, like, I don't know, like how, whatever you want to do, carouse or whatever for the duration, adds it to the calendar, keeps track of time. We can do as granular as 1 round, 10-second increments, all the way up to seasons for Dominion play. And that adds events as timers to our calendar, which we don't have any. We've just been advancing the calendar. We don't have any timers set, but as the timers are set and as time advances, it will trigger those and remind us that things happen. So this is just a way to keep really accurate track of time in our D&D game. I could also generate the treasure by hand with the treasure type, but the dungeon did that for us. It did accurate treasure types. Now, if we come back to our party here, we can see, yeah, Agamemnon is now deceased. I can recruit a replacement. So let's do that. Yep. So now we've got our Taint, the Chaotic Dwarf. We're going to recruit a replacement here. And now we've got Hingelsenda, and then this guy, and then we've got some like injured guys. BECMI famously has no ability to do natural healing. So since this is a fairly strict D&D BECMI interpretation, I have not incorporated natural healing. You'd have to find like magical healing or a cleric or something. But this is basically it. This is the game loop. Wilderness exploration, which goes into lair, and there's castles. Castles are more likely to appear in mountains. I just kind of set that. I don't think that's really in the rules. I think that's kind of neat. But the ledger keeps track of your gold. The calendar keeps track of your time. You can do merchant trading if you want. And now, as we build up our treasury balance here, we can get more into like domain, dominion, and stronghold play. We can start building as we reach name level, build a stronghold, and finally have that castle siege combat simulation that I always dreamed of. But for now, we've just got this party with a few thousand gold. It's a great start. My solo BECMI game is underway. If you want to try it, link in the description. Thanks for watching. Rules Cyclopedia.